Razabani for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast with me. Delighted to have with me, released from isolation, released from his prison cell, the knowledge himself, Mr. Spencer Farron. Spence, good to be back in the open world.
Alhamdulillah, praise be to Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know what I mean? All glory and praises to the creator of the universe. And I don't care what you want to call, but what any name that you want to call God, but God's God, right? And to the one that I show my appreciation to.
Absolutely. Like I said, good to be out.
I am glad to be back home and with my family and stuff. And I mean, so it's all good.
I knew a number of people who went out for the MTK event and obviously had to come back and quarantine for the 10 days. So I spoke to a lot of people and they said, look, up to day 3, day 4, it was manageable. Once it got past kind of day 4 in the hotel, it was really, really tough.
No, it wasn't every day. You know what? It was crazy because we started Ramadan inside quarantine, but I'm just keeping it 100. A massive, massive shout out to the people. What was it? So you leave from Dubai and you're staying in some mad 5-star hotel out there, opposite our offices, and then you come back and you're in a Holiday Inn, government quarantine hotel where you're only allowed out 3 times a day for 20 minutes at a time. But after a while, it's like the guys who do security, they're boxing fans, they recognize who you are. So they looked after me really good in there, seriously. Even like for the time of Ramadan, they're very, very considerate for interfaiths. So yeah, I got probably looked after. They gave me a prayer mat. They'd wake me up first thing in the morning before Fajr prayer. Fajr prayer is the first morning prayer for non-Muslims. They wake you up and they give you food like an hour before Fajr. So just, yeah, it was really cool. I'm not even going to complain. And it was well worth it. Me going to Dubai to cover that fight on ESPN Plus, and it was also on IFL as well. Like to cover that fight and you know what I mean, for Carl Frampton trying to become Ireland's first freeweight world champion. You know what I mean? Him becoming the second Irish boxer's second 2-weight world champion, Steve Collins being the first. It was incredible. Maybe it wasn't a result they wanted, but Jamal Herring's a beautiful human being as well. So I can't even grumble over that. It is what it is, and we just keep on doing our things. I'm just, like I said, I'm just grateful.
Absolutely. Spence, we're obviously just about to start fight week. Derek Chisora back in action, a man who doesn't seem to go away, even though he's had quite a few amount of losses, but he's kind of still in that mix, in that kind of tier of heavyweight, just below kind of the top 3, 4. He's up against Joseph Parker. Good fight for both at this stage of their careers?
Well, it is. I'll tell you, it's only a good fight because, and I know both really well, right? But I know Derek Chisora since he's been about 16 years old. And I would say Joseph Parker wasn't really impressive and when he came up against Farr, but that has a lot to do with when you're fighting a man that is culturally the same as you. It runs deeper than just a boxing match. There was a lot of pride on the line for that fight. So Farr maybe put out his best performance, and I'm going to be real with you. I didn't think that Joseph Parker won that fight. I'm not saying that Joseph Parker's not a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He's a former WBO world heavyweight champion of the world, right? But I have to be real. I say I don't think that he won that fight. But now that he's changed things and he's working with Andy Lee, and I'm telling you, Andy Lee's excellent. Andy Lee is excellent. He's very, very good. He's got Paddy Donovan as well, the welterweight. Paddy's bad, trust me. So maybe that will help him more. But, you know, when it comes to boxing IQ, Derek Chisora has now employed Buddy McGurk. And Buddy McGurk, fantastic fighter. So light welterweight, he was IBS champion, became WBC welterweight champion, he beat Simon Brown. Really good trainer. He doesn't get the props for it, but he's a really good trainer. You don't believe me? Ask Matthew Macklin. So those guys are brought in, but at the tail end of a guy's career, which like with Derek Chisora, I don't think that's gonna mean much. You know, what's he gonna show Derek Chisora that Derek Chisora not already know? You know what I mean? He can add little things to it. And the same with Joseph Parker became a world champion without Andy Lee. but Andy Lee is a boxing person, can add little facets, like fine tweaking. That's why, because of that, it's a great fight. You know what I mean? Because of that, it's a great fight.
What has Chisora got left, Spence? Like you said, you've known him since 16 years of age. He's been in there with, Vitaly Klitschko, David Hayes, Tyson Furies, Usyk more recently. So what has he got left?
Yeah, but you've gone through all of those names, and unfortunately, Derek Chisora hasn't been in any of those names, right? So he unfortunately comes second best in these times. But with this fight here, this is a winnable fight because he made Usyk look really, really ordinary, right? He made Usyk look really, really ordinary. So because he made Usyk look ordinary, that's my little girl trying to come in the room, right? Because he made Usyk look ordinary, he's got something left and he got something in the tank. It depends on what kind of style, because if you look at the things that Joseph Parker does very well, he's got very quick hands and he's got good foot movement. So coupled with that, that's what usually gives Derek Chisora trouble, right? It's the guys who come to fight Derek, then you're in trouble because, Derek's got that overhand right. If he clap you with that, you're gone. But this is a winnable fight for Derek Chisora. And it's only because of a winnable fight because of the last performance that we saw with Joseph Parker wasn't that impressive. So it's a winnable fight. It's a great fight. Would I say it's worthy of pay-per-view? Absolutely. Just look at the stacked undercard that they've got as well. You know what I mean? Jonas versus Taylor, that's a fight. You know what I mean? Craig Richards, my guy. You know what I mean? Craig Richards is my guy. Him against Bivol. So there are some really, really good fights. And you might as well say the comeback of Chris Eubank Jr. against Morrison. So a good card. A very, very good card. So, yeah, worthy of pay-per-view. And the reason why it's worthy of pay-per-view, because someone's going to buy it. Because if nobody's going to buy it, it wouldn't be on pay-per-view. Okay?
Spence, you spoke about, obviously, Chisora teaming up with Buddy McGirt, and you're not sure how much Buddy can teach Chisora what he doesn't already know. But in terms of Joseph Parker, he's only had about 6 to 8 weeks with Andy Lee. Such a short period of time. Surely Andy...
It's the same thing. It's the same. And this is no disrespect to either trainer. It's the same thing. Right. It takes, and I'm telling you, it takes 3, 4, 5 fights with a trainer before you properly get that gel. So you say, I've got someone else in now and all the rest of it. Maybe because like both of them are at the tail ends of their career. They're not like these young, fresh, up-and-coming guys. Right? So, and one's already been a world champion. One's challenged for a world title. And one's been in... Derek Chisora been in a couple of the greatest domestic fights that we've ever seen. So, you know what I mean? It's that, no, I don't think because you got the training. I just think it's little things that can maybe add to the confidence of a fighter. But I don't think it's going to be like, I'm going to make this big dramatic change, because it's very true that you cannot teach an old dog new tricks. So, we'll see.
Behind closed doors, I know Eddie's mentioned that the next two shows, the Derek Chisora fight and obviously the Buatsi card will be the last two that can be behind kind of closed doors, hopefully to have crowds back after that. But we've seen over the last 10 months or so where fights have been behind closed doors. We've seen some shock. We've seen people lose that shouldn't have lost, etc. And people performing not to the standards they should have. Could this come into factor as well with both fighters who normally love having a great crowd behind them?
They do, but the thing about it is that both have fought without, Derek Chisora's fought without having a crowd, right? So this is something that he's accustomed to, and he amiably performed against Usyk, right? So, I think Derek Chisora is going to be more accustomed to not having a crowd there, right? And I think that because he's going to become more accustomed, he's going to be used to the fact that I've got to go out there and I've got to go give it everything I've got. And when people are saying this is Derek Chisora's last shot saloon, I don't believe that. If he goes out there and puts in a gallant performance and wants to come second best in this fight, then I don't think it'll be over for him. I still see there's fights there for Derek Chisora, but I don't think he'll be commanding the money that he deserves. Right. So, well, deserved, but the money that he would like to have. So, yeah.
So you spoke about the possibilities. Are you going to tell me who's going to win?
You know what? I'm going to keep this thing 100. I don't want to speak about it against any fighter here because I like both of them. And Joseph Parker's been very helpful when he jumped on our show quite a few times. And Derek was one of the first persons to jump on our show. Derek's my guy as well. But in this fight, depending what Derek's got left, and if he can get past that sneaky double jab that Joseph Parker has, then I think Derek could pull off a small upset in this fight. But if anyhow Derek allows Joseph Parker to get in his rhythm of throwing a double jab right hand moving off, double jab right hand moving off, and you can't close those gaps, then Joseph Parker's going to win. So I would more favor Joseph Parker to win on points. I would. But judging off his last performance, I think Derek Chisora could just bite down his gum shoulder and cause a stoppage win. And because of that, I'm going to slightly lean towards Derek in this one.
Interesting. Spence, we know the heavyweight division is booming at the moment. We've just recently seen Hrgovic Hunter being announced as well. We know Fury Joshua are going to get it on as well, hopefully. We know Usyk Joyce are going to get it on. We saw a picture I saw the other day, I think yesterday, the day before, Malik Scott's Instagram, where he posted a picture of him and Deontay Wilder. Looked like they did a training session. But is it just good to see Deontay Wilder back training, because he can still be a force in the heavyweight division?
Of course, if anybody can punch like Deontay Wilder, yeah? And one thing, I know Malik Scott very well, right? Even though he didn't do the stuff that he should have done as a professional fighter for his talents, he's very talented, right? Sometimes it's the people who don't get to the mountaintop as a professional fighter, they've got that extra fire burning inside them to do something as a professional trainer. And I've seen it many times. I could name many guys who didn't really do much as professional fighters. You know what I mean? Or certain guys who never even turned pro, but they did great as trainers. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Dave Caldwell, good one of them, but he's an excellent trainer. No one can't tell me Dave's my guy. We're very close. Like, Dave's an excellent trainer. So I think you have that burning desire. And as long as Deontay Wilder is willing to listen, okay, we've heard like sometimes Deontay should be Diva Wilder. You know what I mean? So if he's willing to listen, I think, and implement things of learning, then I believe that he could still be a force in the heavyweight division. But this is more mental to me when dealing with Deontay Wilder. If he can come over those mental aspects and start owning things. You know what I mean? Stop blaming allegations of my water spike. Stop blaming, Tyson Fury cheat with gloves. Stop blaming those kind of things. Stop blaming all of that nonsense. Forget all those kind of things. Accept what it was. Brush yourself off and come back again. And I believe that's the case, that maybe he could come back from something. And I'd like to say this as well. Everyone's trying that sympathy, like for Ryan Garcia, who's saying that he's suffering from mental problems, right? Anxiety and stuff like that, and it's sad. But at the same time, we should take time with people like Deontay Wilder, because maybe he's on a public platform, right? And maybe he's going through some form of torture himself. Do you know what I mean? So I think we should be a little bit more sympathetic to somebody like Deontay Wilder.
No, absolutely. I mean, hopefully it'll be good to see him back in the ring. Spence, always a pleasure catching up. May's boxing. We've got Billy Joe Canelo, first week of May. We've got Josh Taylor trying to become the undisputed champion against Ramirez. We've got Haney Linares. I'm sure we're going to catch up.
Some great fights, but I'm saying this, the guy for me who's like just badass is Josh Taylor, right? Josh Taylor is something special, man. I just want people to realize that. Josh Taylor is something incredibly special, really good fighter. I mean, really good fighter.
Spence, always a pleasure. Spencer Fearon, IFL TV. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.